Yeah, it's 0.
Yeah, but on your board, you got Kade.
I know. I haven't updated it yet.
Okay, got you. All right.
Good evening, everyone. Apopka High School welcomes you to Joe Sterling Gymnasium for Game 13 of the 15th Annual Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge. The event that puts the reputation of the Orlando Metro Conference on the line against some of the best talent in the greater Central Florida area. And for this game, we welcome as our guests wearing the black jerseys, visitors on the scoreboard from Mainland High School. They are the Buccaneers. And representing the Orlando Metro Conference, wearing the white jerseys from Ocoee High School, please welcome the Knights. Let's meet the teams, beginning with our guests from Mainland and starting at guard with 6'3" senior number 0, Beggie Gordon. At wing, 6'4" senior number 2, Canyon Powers. At forward, 6'5" senior number 4, Devon Jones. At guard, 6'1" junior number 11, Kade Manley. And finally for the Bucs at forward, 6'7" junior number 23, Reese Castro. And now let's meet the Ocoee Knights, starting at guard with 5'11" sophomore number 0, Daryn Roundtree. At guard, 5'10" senior number 3, Dylan Bass. At wing, 6'4" sophomore number 4, Terrell Napper. At center, 6'7" senior number 22, Jamerison Jean. And finally for the Knights at wing, 6'4" sophomore number 24, Rodville Nelly. The head coach of the Bucs in his 9th year at the helm of Mainland, Joe Giddens, and for the Knights in his first year, Berkeley Carey. Want to remind everyone that we are live streaming on YouTube and the NFHS network. If you have friends or family back in Ocoee, back in Daytona Beach, or anywhere in the world, and you have not had and they are not able to join us in person for tonight's game, you can send them either to YouTube or the NFHS network. Our channel name on YouTube is Metro VSFL. That's Metro versus Florida. Metro VSFL is the name of the channel. Just search for that on the YouTube app with your favorite computer, smart TV, or mobile device, and it should come up. And we want to thank those of you who have done just that. Welcome to Joe Sterling Gymnasium. My name is Mark Barchi, the media director of the Metro vs. Florida Challenge. And I am joined by Neil Fisher, longtime Apopka sports writer, as we get ready to end up the evening here at Apopka High School. The final game of the day, 13th game overall. And Neil, if the last game is any indication, I don't know if any of our fans are joining us having already attended the Jones game that we just saw, as we get a second chance basket for the Bucs by Canyon Powers. But Neil, this game has a lot to live up to in terms of expectations if we're going to have anything close to the thrill level that we just experienced.
Yeah, that's a good summation there, Mark. Of course, as always, an excellent job of the pregame festivities, including the introductions. A 6-6 score now on the overall board between the Metro and the Florida contingency. And I'd add to what you just said about living up to the competitiveness of the Jones versus Oviedo game, which, by the way, Oviedo won on the last shot, a three-pointer. In that game, we pretty much knew what we were going to get into. We knew the feel. It was going to be physical. It was going to be defensive-oriented. Perhaps not quite as slow in terms of the shot pace, but we knew both these teams were going to be on the slower pace. This is a completely opposite. We got two teams with a lot of question marks. Mainland High School representing the Florida contingency, coming in off a 16-10 record. Of course, Joe Giddens in his 9th year. He's established himself as a coach in the program. No dice there. The spin from number 22, unable to drop that. But still, they lost 6 seniors last year. They returned with Kade Manley. He averaged 21.7. That was number 3 in overall team production as a sophomore, along with Beggie Gordon, who was in double figures. So, yeah, they do have a couple of players they can build around, that being Mainland. but they lost 6, and that's where your question marks comes in. So Ocoee, or Mainland dropping the first 2 points since then, 3 shots, no dice. And we look over at Ocoee, even more unknown questions. Berkeley Kari in his first season, as someone hit the deck there. That was actually number 4, David Jones, the 6'5" senior forward. Our first foul of the game at 5:44.
Foul called against Knights. Jamerison Jean, his team's first at the line, shooting Devon Jones.
So Coach Carey takes over a team that went 11-14 last year. They did advance to the district championship final before losing, and they were but they are a very young group. Looking at that starting 5 with only 1 senior and a couple of sophomores, and they'll be led by Jamerison Jean, Jeremiah Harris, and Daryn Roundtree. So a 4-0 game now as both of the free throws goes down by by Jones. Ocoee looking for their first point. Off the heel. And Mainland running again. Got a whistle and out of bounds. That was that was Caden Pierce Flores taking that long pass but then stepping out of bounds.
Timeout, 30-second timeout.
Ocoee. 2 minutes, 34 seconds into game number 13 of the 2025 Earl Graham Metro vs. Florida Challenge. The Mainland Buccaneers representing the Florida contingency with the 4-0 lead over the Ocoee Knights representing the Metro Conference. And now Ocoee will go to the free throw line.
Foul is called against number 4, Devon Jones. His first personal foul, the team's first, and that will send Daryn Roundtree to shoot 2.
So, of course, Roundtree, one of the 3 players I mentioned. 5'11" sophomore guard. Jamerison Jean, Jeremiah Harris, the other 2. And those players are returning. They were on the team last year, but of course now they're not going to be in a support role. They are the players that the Ocoee Knights are going to be relying on. So 4-2, both free throws find the mark. Settle in for the last game of day number 2. Beautiful alley-oop. Beautiful alley-oop to Manley. Using that 6'1" frame. Definitely a play it looks like the Buccaneers, Mainland has worked on in practice a few times. Out to the left wing, the spot up, Trey, no dice, that was Roundtree again. Windex work, nabbing that rebound and driving. Jean, he'll go to the line, drawing contact. Offensive rebound, making good things happen.
Foul is called against Devon Jones, a second personal, the team second, and that one will send Jamerison Jean to the line shooting 2.
So 1 of 2 free throws cuts the lead down to 6-3. First miss for Maitland. And now Ocoee a chance to cut into that lead, could tie the game with a tray. So I'm Neil Fisher, my partner Mark Barchi. He's also the director and public address announcer, so you won't hear him quite as much. At the other end, that was Manley. And another offensive rebound, leading to a foul.
Foul called against Knights, number 22, Jamerison Jean, his second personal foul, the team's second, and that will send Canyon Powers to the line, shooting 2.
Unable to find the range on either of the free throws. Ocoee dodges the proverbial bullet there. Not there, though. Right place, right time. Canyon Powers following up with the slam.
Powers for 2.
So the first turnover of the game for Ocoee, and that leads to a deuce for Mainland, and now a 5-point deficit. Still can't find the range. Manley again ripping that rebound down. And at the other end, a whistle. It's going to be a out of bounds, a turnover. 8-3 your score, 4.5 minutes into game number 13. The 2025 Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge. Mainland in the full court defense against Ocoee. Beautiful spin move, and then trying to do the scoop shot. That'll absorb the contact.
Foul is called against Bucs number 23, Reese Casto. His first, the team's third. And that will send the Knights' Terrell Napper to the line, shooting 2. Drains the first for his first point of the night.
Second free throw off the mark, bounces off, and guess who, Mark? A name we've called, I think, at least a dozen times here in the first 5 minutes. That's Manley. Dishes it off in the corner, back out to the top to Pierce Flores, and splash!
Three for Beggie Gordon.
Ups that lead to 11-4 now. And Gordon with his first 3 points. Chance to add now on the turnover. One good turnover deserves another. Mainland trying to move a little too fast for their comfort. So far, 5 minutes into this game, as we get a whistle. And
30-second timeout requested by Ocoee.
I think we've had at least one incident of everything in terms of the dynamics. A couple of up and down transition baskets, 5 turnovers. 4 free throws for Ocoee, 2 free throw attempts for Mainland. Both teams having streaks where they put together a couple of made field goals and a couple of missed field goals.
Yeah, Neil, it's been certainly frenetic, and you can see that both of these teams are kind of shaking off the rust from the bus ride as we get things underway here. But Mainland certainly having the better of the game so far. 11-4 here, and I was a little quiet for the first 4 minutes of this game because you may have noticed we didn't have any starting lineup graphics because the roster that each of these teams brought was very different than the roster that is on Max Preps, particularly for Mainland, more so. Ocoee made a couple of changes. Mainland made a whole bunch of changes. The reason is because they are still in the football playoffs, and they have several multi-sport athletes. So we struck Caden Pierce-Flores, Mello Parks, and Chevin Davis Jr., as well as Michael Ortiz. So 4 players we struck from their roster tonight because they're still doing football. And then that meant that some JV players got promoted, some jersey numbers got switched around, and Reese Casto has the layup for the Bucs. So now we've got all the roster data loaded into our computer system correctly so that we can call the game accurately and give you accurate points and fouls.
So back to action now. 13-4 lead for Mainland. They get that quick bucket off the inbound pass and a chance to go even further. That's Manley taking the scoop pass and making the deposit.
Kade Manley, coast to coast.
Gordon with the assist, a beautiful pass in transition. And now the lead has grown to 15-4, double digits for Mainland. Rims in and out. It was a nice looking shot, created it. Good job of creating from Napper, but couldn't get the ball to drop. Iron unkind, back the other way, a minute and a half to go. Manley, right wing, finds his man. That's Castro.
Did everything except get it in.
So we've seen that at both ends, as you said, Mark. Everything but get the ball in.
Air ball from three-point range for Zion Thompson. Now the Bucs go back to work. Blocked by Rodeville Nelly.
Both players hitting the deck. 1:13 remaining in the first quarter now.
It's a clean block. There was a collision out of bounds, but nothing illegal.
So the 2025 Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge. We are 6-6. If you're new to this event, the format, 24 teams make up the Metro Conference. They're all public high schools in Orange County. As drain the rain
for Beggie Gordon.
And the lead up to 14 as we drop under a minute.
When I was correcting the jersey numbers before the game, Coach Giddens wanted to make sure I had BG right because he said, you're going to be calling that name a lot. And turns out his prophecy so far has been accurate.
And so each of those, one of those Metro Conference teams, as I was explaining, takes on a non-member, a.k.a. the Florida contingency in each game. And then
BG Gordon stuffing the Knights there.
And then at the end of the 26 games, which this event will include on Saturday, we don't play tomorrow, the team, the side with the most victories wins the event. Again, it's mostly for bragging right, as we say. Mark, of course, is also our public address announcer, which means he does the player introductions and the general introduction. And, of course, as you say during that, this is the reputation which the Metro Conference, this is the event which the Metro Conference puts its reputation on the line. The idea to showcase just how good Central Florida high school, public high school basketball is.
3 for BG Gordon.
As the lead continues to grow, 17 now, 15 seconds. Ocoee definitely needs some points here to end this first quarter. They are like that boxer trapped in the corner, taking a lot of punches and wobbling. They need to steady that ship, not just to score. That won't come there. Roundtree trying to do it, and not much of a shot there. But definitely Mainland in control, a 21-4 lead. They've come out and taken 12 shots, twice as many as Ocoee. In this last game, gained 2 from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium, the 2025 Metro versus Florida Challenge.
The 15th annual Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge is presented by Advent Health, St. Germain Chiropractic, and Burnfat Orlando. Advent Health offers the top ER docs within blocks. They're Central Florida's #1 trusted emergency room. When life takes an unexpected turn, know the area's most preferred ER is nearby. Their specially trained physicians and nurses are available around the clock to care for any of life's thrills and spills. And with the most locations in Central Florida, the #1 emergency room is always within reach. Find your Advent Health ER at myclosester.com. Metro versus Florida Challenge is also presented by Burnfat Orlando, who challenges you to step on the scale with their money-back guarantee. If you don't lose weight in the first 10 days, they'll refund your money. Give them a call at 855-889-THIN to take charge of your weight and your life. And the challenge is presented by St. Germain Chiropractic Clinics, with the best in non-invasive healthcare services in Central Florida. They accept most insurance and can help you with back and neck pain, headaches, auto accidents, slip and fall injuries, musculoskeletal conditions, and more. Remember, when in pain, call St. Germain.
Start of the second quarter from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium on the campus of Apopka High School. Game 13 of the 2025 Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge. It's been all Mainland representing the Florida contingency, 21-14, 21-4.
And Neil, you were talking about
over the Ocoee Knights.
You were talking about the cadence of the event, and right now we're pretty close as we get a 3 from Kade Manley. So it turns out Beggie Gordon's not the only one who can drop those threes. We were talking about the bragging rights of the Metro Conference versus the Florida contingency. Right now, you can see it's if you pick up a copy of the program at metrovsfl.com, you can see we've got it right there in the first couple of pages as we get a foul called against Bucs. Number 14, Jaheim Curry is first.
So right now, also, it's actually 6-6.
Yeah, so 6 wins for Metro, 6 wins for Florida. So this is going to break the tie at least for the first 2 days, since we have an odd number of games over the first 2 days. 1 of 2 at the line for Roundtree. If you follow the line, the first 4 years of the event, Metro won it, and particularly as we get another 3 for Beggie Gordon. 12 points for him already. He's an early favorite for MVP. But the first 4 years, particularly when you got into the 2012-2013 era, Metro was just wiping the floor with everybody else. They opened up the first 4 years of the event 4-0, winning all 4 of the first 4. Then they lost the next 2, then they won the next 3, then they lost the next 4. So Metro in a little bit of a slump from 2019 to 2023. And then finally last year, they came back. It looked a little on the rocks through the first 3 days, but the Metro had a great 4th day, including Apopka, the host school. And 1 for the Knights.
Yeah, exactly what the Knights needed at this point. Of course, the free throw would also help, not just in terms of the score, but just gaining some momentum and being able to have something to build on.
Foul is called against number 4. Devon Jones, his 3rd, the team's 2nd, and this is Jeremiah Harris shooting 2.
Ocoee has just, again, they're like that boxer trapped in the corner. They're just taking some massive body shots, wobbling.
But in any case, so Metro won their first event in 5 years last year, and they're trying to see if they can extend that to a 2-year streak. And bounce it in, that is Daryn Roundtree for 2.
So a couple of possessions now that Ocoee can build on. 27-9, lead back under 20. Is up to 22. And just as quickly, Manley takes the beautiful pass and
Kade
finger rolls.
Manley on the pass from Curry.
So Manley with 7 points now. Of course, your leading scorer, 9 points for Manley. Your leading scorer is Gordon, as Mark a couple minutes ago talked about. Get used to hearing that name. He has 12. And Manley's now going to sit down.
Well, it's Gordon sitting down.
And Gordon sits down as well.
I guess he's earned it with 4 trays.
Yeah, and actually, Manley did not come out. I didn't see him initially. The launch clinks off the rim. That was Galasica. Back the other way, Ocoee looking to cut into that lead. The quick scoop shot with no dice from Harris.
Three for Kade Manley, who says, we can't say that in high school. Hold my soda. Hold my soda, Beggie Gordon. I've got trays too.
And now Manley tied with Gordon, each with 12. And
foul is called against Bucs number 2, Kenyon Powers, his first. The team's 3rd this period, and Terrell Napper will shoot 2.
And say Gordon out of the lineup, no problem. And hand the ball to Manley. So going back again, we started the game as we always do, or at least I always do, looking at the season outlook. And so far, that season outlook, unfortunately for Ocoee, has come very much true. It's just a very young team, and their coach, Berkeley Carey, in his first year, they lost pretty much everybody who was in that main rotation last season from an 11 and 14 teams. Only 1 senior in the starting lineup and only 3 on the team in general.
3 for Terrell Napper.
So that'll cut the lead under 20. Much needed points for Ocoee. Again, at this point, if you're Ocoee, you're just looking to establish some momentum, establish something from which to build from moving forward in this game.
Rare miss from Manley.
And that'll certainly help coming up with the stop, especially if Ocoee can come down and score. They will now have scored 3 of the last 4 possessions.
Beggie Gordon back
combined.
in for the Bucs.
3 of the last 4 combined. And that'll be certainly a stat that they can build on. Like you said, they've gotten it under 20. Now you want to get it under 15 as we drop to 4 minutes. The kick out, the drive, nothing doing there. The double team along that baseline now. That's Napper. He's rejected, and just as quickly they come back the other way. The long outlet to Manley, to Gordon in the corner, and drain the rain.
Beggie Gordon, 3. I believe all 15 of his points have come from 5 perimeter field goals, right?
I'm not sure, but I'm not surprised.
I'm sure that he could shoot a layup if you asked him to, but so far he's only going for the high difficulty shots. 30-second timeout requested by the Bucs. So they'll take their first timeout of the game, and we'll pause with them. 3 minutes, 45 seconds to go here in the second quarter from Joe Sterling Gymnasium. Welcome back to Joe Sterling Gymnasium. Mark Barchi here with Neil Fisher, taking you through the nightcap of day 2 as we are back to live action. And the Bucs, while not necessarily invincible, have been in control of the momentum of this game. And I think that was supposed to be an alley-oop, but Canyon Powers was late to the party.
Yeah, so the turnover, only the 4th. For them in this first half, 3.5, a 35-13 lead. We scored the first 4 points and have been building on it ever since then. It's been the Trey show. Of course, here we're just going to get the old-fashioned slam from
Stolen dunk
Powers.
by Canyon Powers. So he acquits himself of the previous possession. And there's Powers again. Ready, set, dunk.
Deja vu.
Canyon Powers with back-to-back dunks, and we'll pause for a timeout. Full timeout called by the Knights.
And not just back-to-back dunks, but back-to-back dunks off of steals at midcourt. So I'm Neil Fisher. The other voice you hear is Mark Barchi. He's also the public address announcer as well as the director of this broadcast. Thank you for joining us from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium. The Metro versus Florida Challenge in honor of Coach Earl Graham. And a 6-6 score overall.
We invite you to join us on Friday. We do not invite you to join us tomorrow. As much as we'd love to have you over, we just don't have enough space at the table for you. But we are not having any basketball tomorrow. We hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving with your families. We will be back on Friday, though, for 7 more games of basketball action right here at Joe Sterling Gymnasium. You can get the complete schedule on our website, metrovsfl.com. You can also get it through our program, which is on metrovsfl.com. If you can't remember that or can't spell it, don't worry. If you're here in the arena, we've got the QR code at the admission table. Just point your phone at that. You can get that as a free download and follow along with the whole Metro versus Florida Challenge. Right now, we are tied 6 games apiece. The Metro Conference teams have won 6. The Florida teams have won 6. And so whatever happens right here is going to determine who has the lead for the first 2 days. Of course, we still got Friday and Saturday yet to go as the Metro Conference tries to defend their victory from last year. So we hope we'll see a lot more of you, whether it's in person or online. Now back to live action from Joe Sterling Gymnasium as we round the 3-minute mark of the first half.
And a 39-11 lead for the Mainland Buccaneers out of Daytona Beach, representing the Florida contingency over the Ocoee Knights. Representing.
That's my fault, Neil. It's 13. I didn't hit the button hard enough.
Either way, it's still a commanding lead. Ocoee representing the Metro Conference, the Ocoee Knights. And had a stoppage there while Rodville Neely was coming into the game. Might not make much of a difference in the final outcome, the final score, but our referees making sure the substitutions are done correctly. Into the corner, that's Manley. And splash! He continues to find the range along with Gordon. He now has 15 with Gordon. And the score now 42-13, approaching that 35 mark. That's a running clock. Won't take effect until the second half. So also, we've seen a lot of three-pointers, but Mark, they've also been open as score the deuce to Roundtree.
Daryn Roundtree adds 2 for the Knights.
I can't really remember more than 2, maybe 3 of those three-pointers that Mainland has taken without a hand, at least a hand in the face.
Yeah, so you got to hand it to Mainland on both offense and defense as we get a inside basket there from Reese Casto. That's frankly one of the more conventional shots we've seen from Mainland's tonight. Most everything else they've done has either been fast break or perimeter. Stolen again, and this one Kade Manley didn't even really have to work that hard for. And no basket, palming, Knights ball.
And one of the few mistakes there on the, I guess he palmed the ball?
Yeah, so you can call it palming, carrying, same thing. It's where you let your dribble get a little bit too far past horizontal for too long.
So Ocoee catches the break. They still got a lot of work to do as we approach a minute and a half. And now the turnover.
Yeah, and that was just a good double team there between, that was Beggie Gordon and Chase Roos. Each of them had their man, and each of them were putting up a wall.
So Gordon, of course, so far he's been the offensive star along with Manley, but showing he's got some defensive game as well. And now the foul. That's Reese Castro, 6'7" junior forward, absorbing the contact.
Fouls called
violated.
Against Knights, number 22, Jamerison Jean, his 3rd personal foul. The team's first this period. And that'll send Reese Castro to the line shooting 2.
Casto with 4 points.
Make it 5. Accidentally started the replay again. Didn't mean to do that. All right, so the second one is a miss. Let's get that score bug back up for you.
Lead up to 30 now. Stop, pop, and drop from Roundtree. Nice looking stroke.
Daryn Roundtree on the jumper.
The sophomore getting
down the baseline, outlet pass for 3. Nope, off the heel. Oh, stolen layup from Reese Casto. You saw exactly what Ocoee was trying to do there. They're trying to do exactly what they teach you in practice, bounce it off the knee when you get in trouble. Angle just wasn't there, and now here comes Kade Manley again saying, I'll take that. Nope, not tall enough for that dunk.
But Powers, right place, right time, using his body, the 2-inch height advantage.
3 for Beggie Gordon. 6 of those for him tonight.
And the assault continues. Ocoee with the chance to take some momentum and something to build on into halftime, though. And they won't. It's short.
And Canyon Powers just barely stays in bounds. Shot's not there, and that takes us to halftime. Big lead for the Bucs going into the locker room, 50-17 is your intermission score here in Game 13 of the 15th annual Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge, presented by St. Germain Chiropractic, Burn Pad Orlando, and Advent Health.
We what?
Welcome back to Joe Sterling Gymnasium. We are good to go with the third quarter here, and Ocoee spent a lot of time in the locker room. They did not spend any time on the court warming up for the third quarter. I assume that Coach Carey was in the back peeling the paint off the walls. As we get Terrell Napper opens up second half scoring for the Knights.
Yeah, so we begin the second half at 50-17. Now it's 15-19. And Mark, yeah, we talked about this all throughout the first half. It's been some awesome field goal shooting from Mainland, and they continue that with the easy deuce there. But your official stats, they actually did take more two-point attempts than three-point attempts. They made 10 of 19, just about 55%. Again, we do not have a statistician, but simple math, that is
fouls called against number 2, Canyon Powers. His second personal foul, team's first of this half. At the line shooting will be number 22, Jamerison Jean.
So 10 of 19, slightly over 50%, but they did actually miss a three-pointer. They were only 9 of 10. That brings you a total of 19.
Well, there you go. There's something to improve on.
Yes. If you did not join us for that first half, first of all, thank you for joining us now. Beggie Gordon with 18 points, Kade Manley with 15. And for both of them, I believe all their points came from the three-point range. Certainly 18 and 15 multiples of 3. So, but they came out hot and heavy from beyond the arc.
Beggie Gordon, 3! Turns out it works on the other half of the court, too.
Yeah, scoring the first 6 of the first 8 points, and they just kept draining the rain. So your overall field goal percentage.
Timeout Knights, full timeout.
Overall field goal percentage is 19 of 29. So that's roughly 66%, 2/3. And again, Mark, this certainly is deja vu in comparison to the Apopka and the Apopka game, in which that was also a running clock. They shot the ball in the mid-60s. As I believe that game ended with Apopka in the mid-50s, but for the majority of that game, they were in the mid-60s. Again, 19 of 29 from Maitland in that first half.
So we're going to mark the clock green here and put the little fast-forward arrows on it because we do have a, excuse me, I didn't put up that last point. Should it be 55 now? So that does make it a 35-point scoring differential, and it means we will, once we get back from the timeout, go to a running clock for the rest of the game. That means the clock will only stop for timeouts and other extended disruptions of play.
Yeah, and barring, which would be something I've never seen in the 40 years of covering high school basketball, the Florida contingency will leave tonight. Will leave the Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium tonight with a 7-6 lead as well, winning the last 2 games. So back to action we go. Of course, we talked about Ocoee. Just such a young team and the first-year coach and Berkeley Carey.
Kade Manley. 17 points for him tonight. It's so far more or less been the Manley Gordon show. Canyon Powers certainly has done a lot as well. And there we get Devon Jones for 2.
Reese Canyon Powers with 8, Reese Castro with 7.
And that was Jones' 6th. So, yeah, certainly the Bucs doing some spreading of the love, but Gordon and Manley have had all the action from three-point range. Here's connection is broken up by Dylan Bass, who has to step on the line to get it.
And speaking of the duo, they actually did have 33 of the 50 points at halftime. So talked about the percentage being in 2/3, 66% overall, and also 2/3 of the points scored by the duo, Gordon and Manley. And there's a rare mistake by them, a whistle.
Player control foul is called against Canyon Powers, his 3rd. Team's 2nd of this period. Oops, I need to clear those team fouls out. I forget to do that when I'm not running the official clock. So it's actually 2 fouls for Mainland.
And that's Napper hitting the ground, hitting the deck.
Canyon Powers is called in his 4th personal foul, 3rd of the team for this half. Checking into the game for Mainland.
Long range from Roundtree. Clinks off the rim. Manley rips down the rebound. The long outlet to Gordon. And not sure if that was a pass or an attempted shot. Curry at the other end. Doesn't really matter. They're going to get another attempt here anyway. And Curry with the second chance point. Right place, right time, and a beautiful tip in.
Foul is called against number 32, Jeremiah Harris. That's his first personal foul, the team's first of this period. The basket by number 14, that's Jaheim Curry, is good. He's at the line shooting for the three-point play.
So if you're new, first of all, thank you for tuning in and spending a part of your holiday week with us. We are live from Joe A. Sterling Gymnasium on the campus of Apopka High School. The 2025 Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge. The last game of day 2 will be back for 7 games on Friday, 6 games on Saturday. And the format is pretty simple. It comes from a couple of college, I guess you could call them challenges as well, or event. The one that comes to mind for me, at least, is the Big Ten versus ACC challenge. And in that, a team from each of those conferences face off. It's ACC versus Big Ten each way. First place teams play each other, second place teams, and so on. And at the end of that event, you add up and see which conference has the most wins. In this case,
foul's called against number 0, Beggie Gordon. That's his first, the team's 4th.
It's the Metro Conference versus the non-Metro Conference, or as we call it, the Florida contingency, hence the name the Metro versus Florida.
Chase Roos into the game for the Bucs.
26 games in total, again, over those 4 days. And we will add up who has the most wins. And right now, as I said before, unless what I've never seen in 40 years of covering high school basketball, and that would be a team winning after the running clock initiated. A team trailing by at least 34 points comes back and wins. It's going to be 7-6 in favor of the Florida contingency. They've won the last 2 and 3 of the last 4 today. And
here we get some contact. Foul's called against Knights, number 32, Jeremiah Harris. That's his second. The team's second, and at the line will be Jaheim Curry. So yeah, Neil,
the qualifications for the Metro Conference, just to finish my thought, every public high school in Orange County is a member of the Metro Conference. You don't need to do the difference among colleges. Once the school opens, if they're in Orange County in a public high school, they're a member. There's no voting. There's not like 3 or 4 or 5 other conferences. There's only one conference in Orange County.
Well, that's partially true. Many years ago, they did split it into Metro East and Metro West for the purposes of doing standings in the Metro Conference tournaments, just because as the number of high schools has grown, above 20 now.
24 to be exact.
Yeah, they're now 12 in the West and 12 in the East. Now, for the purposes of this event, we do not distinguish between Metro East and Metro West. You're either Metro or not, as the Knights get called for traveling Bucs ball. But when it comes to other purposes, we actually do split it into East and West. And you were talking about strange things, Neil. I am with you. I have been doing this off and on since about 1997. And no, I have never seen a team come back from a running clock, as we get a basket by Jaheim Curry. Because usually the same factors that led to the running clock in the first place usually prevent it from being overcome. The strangest thing I think I've seen, as we get some bumpsies there, I think that's going to be Gordon. Foul is called against Beggie Gordon. That'll be his second.
So this will bring the third quarter
Penalty
to an
situation.
end.
Zion Thompson at the line. And he'll get to finish these 2 free throws even if the clock hits 0. I think the strangest thing that I've ever seen in all my years doing this, I saw a team once that had a number of players sick and injured, and so they only had 6 players in the book to start, and 2 of them fouled out, which left them with only 4 eligible players. Now, you don't forfeit the game for that. You can finish. You just have to finish 4 on 5. It's like, being in hockey
or soccer
with with an advantage or power play for the whole rest of the game, and they won. And that will take us to the end of the third period, and the Bucs continue with a big lead in Game 13 of the 15th annual Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge. We'll be back with the fourth quarter in just a moment. Fourth quarter live here at Joe Sterling Gymnasium. We are already in a running clock situation, which I neglected to reset, so let me do that now. We are at 7 minutes, 50 seconds, and counting.
Yeah, 66-21 your score. Mainland Buccaneers out of Daytona Beach with the lead, representing the Florida contingency over the Ocoee Knights just down the road about 10 miles, maybe even a little less. Representing the Metro Conference. This has been Mainland all the way. They scored 6 of the first 8 points. Those first 6 points coming on a tray, 1 from Gordon, 1 from Manley. They've been the stars, 38 points.
Foul's called against number 14, Jaheim Curry.
So 38 points between the duo of Gordon and Manley, a little bit more than half. And, of course, Ocoee, to start with, a young team, a first-year coach in Berkeley Carey. Only 1 senior in the starting lineup, 3 on the roster altogether. And on top of that, they have several players who have not played yet because they're football players, and Ocoee is still in the playoffs. The other thing before we go off the air, of course, every game, want to at least take a couple of minutes to talk about Earl Graham, the man, the coach, who this event now bears his name for 5 seasons, the last 5 editions. As I said, an assistant coach for over 50 years, and unfortunately and sadly, he passed away from COVID on January 7th, 2021. I can tell you this, that my personal feelings, I got a chance. Of course, I've been covering high school athletics in Central Florida area for about 35 years now. I knew him when he came to Wekiva High School in 2008, along with Coach Scott Williams, the director, the creator of this event, this mega event. And even though I never formally met Coach Graham, I knew of him, I knew of his reputation, and I knew that he was a man who was known as good a coach as there was in terms of developing players' talents and skills.
Back-to-back fouls called against Jeremiah Harris. That'll be his second and third personal fouls. The team's first and second.
But Coach Graham reputation was even better off the court in terms of him being a great mentor to a lot of young men, and even the women that he did have the opportunity. He was a firefighter. That's how he made his living. And as I've said many times throughout this year's event,
Number 0, Daryn Roundtree, 4-3.
I think when you go into firefighting, that tells you where your heart is in terms of public service. You don't go into firefighting
Answered with a 3 from Beggie Gordon.
for the money or the glamour. You do it because your heart is that of wanting to serve.
Yeah, absolutely, Neil. And I mean, I think a lot of people who work in public education and private education, because Coach Graham spent some time at Lake Highland Prep as well, you just know that's what motivates them. That's where their heart is. And so as an educator, as a coach, and as a firefighter for over 50 years, as Kade Manley withdraws 2. "30-second timeout is called for substitution by the Bucs, but we'll take it anyway. And we'll pause here with 4 minutes, 24 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter in Game 13 of the Earl Graham Metro versus Florida Challenge." So yes, Neil, as you were saying, over 50 years of service for Earl Graham, part of that being spent professionally, and as a firefighter, part of that being spent professionally as a coach and educator, and certainly made a huge impact. We used to have kind of a running joke. His job when Scott Williams would host the Metro versus Florida Challenge every year was to guard the hospitality room. So if you're not aware, for the staff members who are here all day working, there's a secret room in the back where they have refreshments for us to pick up on breaks between halves and games. And as we get a basket by Rodeville Nelly, Coach Graham, his job was to guard the hospitality suite, and we said, well, boy, that's just like having a fox guard the hen house.
Yeah, he was certainly something of a connoisseur when it came to eats.
Oh yeah, well, and just a great sense of humor all around. Like you could give him a hard time, and he'd give you a hard time back.
And I do want to say, though, again, bringing this up, because the clock is running, and we are running out of time. But what I'll always remember most and foremost about Coach Graham, just on a personal note, is, and I say this every time his name comes up, he was the kind of person, didn't matter if our paths crossed just 6 minutes earlier or 6 months earlier, he always remembered what we had talked about the last time we had talked and what was going on in our lives. And unfortunately, like I said, he passed on January 7th, 2021. The last time I saw him was 8 days before Christmas, the Friday, 2 Fridays before. Of course, Mark and I are the in-house broadcasting team at Ocoee. Popka traveled down the road to take on Ocoee, and he sat next to me, and even then he was asking me about my niece and my nephew.
3.
Who was that? Number 5.
Of course, you wouldn't know this unless you know me personally, but my niece is a cancer survivor. She was diagnosed with bone cancer at the age of 9. She's doing fine now. She's been cancer-free for 2.5 years. But that last time that I did talk to Coach Graham, I wanted to ask him, how him and his family was, and he wouldn't let me do it. He just kept asking me about my niece and how she was doing, and then he asked me about my nephew, who was still an infant at the time. So just to give you an idea of, like I said, he was an excellent coach, great developer of talent, willing to work early in the morning before the sun come up, before he went on to his job as a firefighter, but even better mentor, and there's an example of the kind of person he was outside the court. So 1:45 remaining, and we're going to end the day 2, the first day from Apopka High School, with a victory from the Florida contingency, Mainland specifically. They will have the 7-6 lead, dominating performance for Mainland, coming off the 16-10 record and looking to replace 6 seniors. And certainly the season outlook came prophetic, couldn't have been more spot on, as it's been the Kade Manley show and Beggie Gordon show Manley averaging 21.7 points per game last season. And he's put in 20 plus tonight. And then Gordon looking to step up into more of a major role after averaging in double figures. I believe he's in double digits as well.
Foul's called against Jeremiah Harris, his 5th personal foul. He retires from the game with 2 points. Checking in for him is Rodville Nelly. At the line shooting is Chase Roos.
And so, again, we will be back on Friday and Saturday, 7 games on Friday. Close out with that schedule. Edgewater versus Central Florida Christian Academy. Windermere versus Auburndale. Olympia versus Gateway. Freedom versus Discovery. East River versus Bartow. University versus Eustis. West Orange versus Foundation Academy. And then on Saturday, 6 games. Actually 7, Cypress Creek and Southlake, Apopka versus Mount Dora, that's the women. Then the men, Apopka versus Davenport, Evans versus Vieira, Lake Buena Vista.
Dylan Bass for 2.
St. Stephen's Episcopal High School, Edgewater versus Seminole, Winter Park versus Windermere Prep. And so there's your final buzzer, the final score, 71-31, as Mainland shoots around 60%, 9 for 10 in the first half from three-point range. And they take the victory as well as propel the Florida contingency into a 7-6 lead halfway through this event. Well, have a happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Have a safe Thanksgiving. And Mark, take us to the home stretch.
That takes us to the end of the second day here at the Metro versus Florida Challenge. We got one more piece of business to take care of before we wrap things up, and that is the presentation of the MVP award. We ask you to direct your attention to the score table as we honor Earl Graham. Throughout his life and coaching career, Coach Graham inspired thousands of players to love the game and become better men. While he can never be truly replaced, we can honor his legacy playing on in his name, and it is in that spirit that our annual celebration of Central Florida basketball forever bears his name. And this will come as no surprise to anybody. He just made it rain threes all night long. And this MVP award with, let's see, let me pull it up here. A total of 24 points, if you can believe it, for the night. It is number 0, Beggie Gordon.
Oh, hold for 1 second. I got it.
Once again, we want to thank everyone for coming out to support your Bucs and Knights athletes. And for those of you watching online, please subscribe before you go. We're going to take tomorrow off. We hope you will too. Enjoy your Thanksgiving with your family. We wish you a safe and happy Thanksgiving. We will be back here at Joe Sterling Gymnasium bright and early Friday morning for game number 14 of the Metro versus Florida Challenge. And boy, I tell you what, we are not saving the best for last on Friday. We're going to start with a barn burner, and that's going to be Edgewater versus Central Florida Christian Academy. Both of those programs are top 6. Eagles ranked number 3 in 6A. Central Florida Christian Academy ranked number 5 in 1A. So both of them top 5 programs in their respective classifications. That'll be at 11 a.m. Friday morning. We hope you'll join us for that, either in person or online. And for those of you in the arena, please drive carefully and arrive home safely. Those of you watching online, please subscribe before you go. Good night from Joe Sterling Gymnasium.